Welcome back. In this video, we are going to fix a big missing piece in our Hidden Quest Story app, page navigation. Right now, this is the menu scene of the Hidden Quest Story app project. If I run this, when I click on the enter button and the info button, nothing happens. Hence, we cannot navigate to any other scene or page at the moment. Note that the term scene and page are used interchangeably. However, in this video, we want to be able to navigate from our menu scene to page 1, and then from page 1 to page 2 to page 3, to page 4, and back again. So that's what I'll be walking you through. To make our buttons navigate between pages, we'll need to add some custom behavior. In Unity, behaviors are added to game objects through components. Think of components as instructions that tell an object how to act. Unity already comes with many ready-made components like physics or audio. But for something unique, like telling a button which page to open, we need to create our own. That's where scripts come in. A script in Unity is simply a small program written in the C# programming language that you attach to an object in your project. When Unity runs your app, it follows the instructions in that script. Now, don't worry if you're new to coding. Scripting in Unity is done in a tool called an IDE, Integrated Development Environment. You can think of an IDE as a smart text editor designed for coding. It helps you write, organize, and test scripts more easily. For this project, we'll use Visual Studio Code, also called VS Code, a lightweight and free IDE that works on Windows, Macs, and Linux. Another option is Visual Studio, which is more advanced but heavier and mainly suited for Windows. The first thing we'll do is download VS Code. Download the version for your PC and install it. Once you're done installing VS Code, you should see this icon in your app tray. Next, we need to let Unity know that VS Code is our preferred tool for scripting C# code. To do that, open up Unity, go to the Edit menu, select Preferences, and in the window that comes up, select External Tools. Here, where you have the drop-down for External Script Editor, select Visual Studio Code. In my case, I have the option of using either VS Code or Visual Studio because I have both of them installed. If you're following along, then select VS Code. That's it. You can now close the window. Next, we'll create our first script component to control the navigation of our app. I'll scroll down to the subfolder called Script within my Assets folder. Right-click and then go to Create. Select Mono Behavior Script. This is one way to do it. Alternatively, we could create and attach the script to a game object in one step. For that, I have created this empty game object called Script Controller. Select it and in the inspector window, click Add Component. You'll see a number of available components including scripts. To filter, I can start typing in a script name or C# and it should present me with the new script option. You can select that. Having shared both options, my preferred approach is to create new scripts directly in my script subfolder, then attach it to a game object. So again, I'll right-click in here, go to Create and select Mono Behavior. It will create a script in my subfolder with a default name highlighted. Click the highlighted name to rename it. I'll rename it to Hidden Quest Controller. What we can then do is add it to the game object as a behavior. We can either drag it to the inspector view here. Alternatively, with the game object selected, click Add Components, then search for that script, Hidden Quest Controller. So that's our custom component attached. Next, we need to edit the script to add the lines of code that will navigate our pages. Double-click on the script and it should open up in VS Code. First, I'll copy and paste in the lines of code required for our page navigation. That's all we need to make navigation work. If you want, you can just copy and paste this code from the file linked in the description and keep going. You don't need to fully understand every keyword right now. Otherwise, I'll spend the next few minutes giving you a brief and simple overview of what this script means. When you create a new script in Unity, it gives you a basic template. For our case, we've added just a few lines to make page navigation work. Don't worry, this isn't a coding class, but it's useful to know what's going on so the script doesn't feel like magic. Here's a simple breakdown. Namespaces. These are like two boxes we're pulling in. Instead of writing everything from scratch, we use Unity's existing tools such as the scene manager, which lets us load pages or scenes. Class. A class is just a container for our script. Think of it as a label that says, here are the instructions for this feature. Unity looks inside the class to know what to do. Function or method. This is the actual instruction we'll call when a button is clicked. The name goToScenes is what we'll connect to our button later. It takes a parameter called scene name, which is the name of the scene that will be loaded. Public. We made this function public, which just means it's visible to other parts of Unity. That way, our button can see it and use it. Void. The word void simply means this function doesn't send anything back. It just does its job, loading the scene, and that's it. So really, the script is nothing more than, when called, load the page with this name. Now that you understand the structure of a typical mono behavior script in Unity, let's now use it for our page navigation. Switch from VS Code to Unity. If you select the script here, we can see the codes in the inspector, although it is not editable in Unity. It's only within the VS Code IDE that we can edit this file. To use it, select the script controller game object that we attached our component to. Since we want the navigation behavior when a button is clicked, we will have to associate the script controller game object to the click attribute of the button. It's easy. Just before that, we'll need to let Unity know the scenes we'll be working with. In other words, Unity needs to know which scenes to load when our app is being run, such that we can navigate between them using our buttons. The way that works is, when our app runs, Unity will load an initial scene. It can only have one scene showing at a time, but this scene has to be part of a predefined list of scenes. When we click our Enter button to navigate to page 1, Unity unloads the current scene, which is the menu scene, and loads the new scene, which is page 1. Hence, the method we wrote in our script is consistent with this behavior, sceneManager.loadScene. So what we want to happen is when a button is clicked, we want Unity to call this goToScene method. And when it calls it, we want Unity to load the scene represented by this scene name, which we'll assign in Unity. So this is the line that's going to tell Unity to load the scene. In this project, I have a number of scenes here in our assets folder. Some of them are not relevant to the hidden quest story, but what you see here is if I go to File menu and I click on Build Profiles, it will open up the Build Profiles window, which I'll drag across for us to see. Our interest is in this scene list, which contains only the relevant scenes to the hidden quest story. So you can see the menu scene and other scenes from our assets folder below. This scene/menu scene is simply showing the relative part of where it lies in our assets folder, i.e. the scenes lie in the scene subfolder within our assets folder. So you can see all the scene names, page 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's also one titled settings page. Yes, so those are the scenes that are relevant to this app when it's published. You can verify this in the final app, the Hidden Quest demo, in the description where I post its link. There, you should be able to see how all of this ties together. Populating the scene list is very easy. Simply click on the button, Open Scene List. Now I can add to it. So for example, I can take out this menu scene by selecting and pressing delete on my keyboard. To add it back, I drag it in here to the top. Alternatively, if I remove the scene again by right-clicking on it and selecting Remove Selection, I can simply add it back by clicking the button Add Open Scene. Because the menu scene is currently open, clicking the button adds it to the list and I can just drag it up to the top so it's ordered in the way I want the scenes to be loaded. To show you again, I'm going to remove all the currently added scenes by right-clicking on them and selecting Remove Selection. Next, I'll re-add them one by one. So drag in each of the relevant scenes to this project, i.e. menu scenes, pages 1 to 4, and the settings scene. Remember that without this, you will not be able to navigate to these pages when you run or publish your project. So this is very essential. With that done, I can close this window. In case this is your first time seeing the Hidden Quest Story app project, I'll quickly show you the scenes that we've created. Briefly, the Hidden Quest is the 4-page story which I created to show you how to repurpose a static story into an interactive story app. You can click the link above to a previous video where we created these scenes and animated some of the items to make the story come alive. The final outcome is available as a free app which you can get using the link in the description. Now let's go back to our menu scene. I have created this empty game object called a script controller. It's my recommended approach to have an empty game object in your hierarchy for your script. This is simply what I did here. So right click, create a game object and call it anything. Then attach the script to it. So that's what I have done here for the script controller. So hopefully that's clear, so I can delete this now. So what we want to do now is we want to add a behavior to this enter button. To test what we have so far, if I run this and I click the buttons, nothing happens. This is because there's not been any behavior added to the buttons. Let's do that next. In the hierarchy, find and select the enter button. In the inspector, you can see the different components on that button. However, the button component is the one we are interested in. Now you can see this section called onClick, which is where we wire up what happens when you click the button. The list is currently empty. To add our first onClick event, click the plus icon here. Now the method or the function that we want to add, which is the goTo scene, is within this hidden quest controller script. But this script, remember, has been added to the script controller game object, right? So what we simply can do is, again, ensure that the enter button is selected and then drag the script controller in here. So now that we've dragged it in, if we select function, we can see hidden quest controller among our list of functions in the drop down. And we can select that method or function, which we called goTo scene. You can see it's consistent with the name there. So if it sounds a bit too confusing, don't worry too much. The main thing that you need to understand is that this is the method or function that instructs Unity to load a scene. So this is sceneManager.loadScene, which is what tells Unity to load the scene whose name will pass in. That scene name is coming from here. So if I go back to Unity, you can see this. So we've attached that, and you can see this field is now available for us to type in the name of the scene that we want. So we can simply type in page 1, which is the scene that we want to navigate to when the enter button is clicked. Recall that page 1 is one of the scenes in our list, so make sure that you type its name correctly, otherwise Unity won't find it when it goes to load the scene. Let's also do a similar thing for our info button. So select it in the hierarchy, and in the inspector, scroll down to the onClick section and select the plus icon. It adds a default item to the list, which is not yet editable. We know that the custom component containing our script is attached to this script controller game object. Hence, to access it, we need to drag it into this field. It then exposes different options in this drop-down, including the hidden quest controller. Now, there are other options, but we are only interested in our own custom script, which is the hidden quest controller. And now we can navigate to that function that we created within the script, which is goTo scene, and select it. Once selected, it exposes this field for us to enter in the name of the scene that we want to navigate to when the button is clicked. To avoid any typos, I like to right-click on the scene name, click rename, so that I can then copy the exact name. Having copied it, I'll paste it into the field here. I'll save this scene and run it to test. Let's see what happens. So let's try the info button first. If I select this, it takes us to that info page. Great! I'll stop this and run it again to test the enter button. So if I select this, it takes us to page 1. That's it. So this is literally what we're going to do for all the other pages, as you'll see shortly. So now that we're done with the menu scene button navigation, let's now repeat the process for the other scenes. These are the scenes that have been added to our build profile scene list, so we have them here. So let's add the navigations for these other ones. So I'll go to page 1. The first thing I'll do is create an empty game object. I'll name it page 1 controller. I like to use the surface controller so that it's easy to distinguish between other game objects. Next, add that custom script hidden quest controller component in the inspector. Let's now select the next button. This one should take us to page 2. So in our inspector, click that plus icon to add and then drag in the page 1 controller. We can now select that hidden quest controller script and then the go to scene function. This automatically exposes the field for us to enter in the name of the scene we want to navigate to, which in this case is called page 2. So type that in the text field. We can also do the same thing for our home button. So again, in the hierarchy, select the home button and in the inspector window, scroll down to the on-click section of the button component. Click that plus icon and drag that page 1 controller in here. From this drop down, go to the hidden quest controller and select the go to scene function. Next, enter in the name of the scene we want to navigate to, which is the menu scene. So that's page 1 complete. We can also test this out. Clicking the home button takes us to the menu scene. From here, clicking enter takes us to page 1. And on page 1, clicking the next button takes us to page 2. So that's what we're going to do for all the other scenes next. For page 2, it will be a similar process. So to save time, right-click and copy this page 1 controller from here. Go to page 2, paste it in the hierarchy by right-clicking and selecting paste. We can now rename it to page 2 controller. You can see that it retains the hidden quest controller script component. Next, wire up the buttons as we did in the previous scenes, making sure to enter in the right scene names to navigate to for each button. Now page 2 is all done. For page 3, let's first copy this page 2 controller from here, open up page 3 and paste it here. Now rename it to page 3 controller. Next, select our buttons. What we can do is select all 3 of them together by holding down Shift while we select each. So home button, next button and previous button. With all 3 selected, go over to the inspector window and click the plus icon, then drag in the page 3 controller game object. Select the hidden quest controller script and then the go to scene function. Now this is possible because all 3 buttons use the same function for navigation. Now if I select the home button, you can see that it's wired correctly. I'll simply type in the menu scene, which is where it should navigate to when clicked. The next button should take us to page 4, so I'll type that in. And lastly, the previous button should take us back to page 2, so I'll type that into the name of the scene. So for page 4, repeat the process. So that's it for our 4-page story. I'll save these and then go back to our menu scene to test the navigation end to end. And we'll navigate all the way to and fro. And that's it. With just a few lines of C# code, you now have working page navigation for your story app. From the menu to each page and back again, all done with one simple script. You can grab the code from the description below and reuse it in your own projects. If you'd like to see how to add animations to make your pages come alive, check out the video linked above. Thanks for watching, and if you found this helpful, please give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next tutorial.